Morning guys, for today's video we're only going as far as that observatory once again. So our target for today is Jupiter. It's a big gas planet, it's the largest planet in our solar system, and we're going to capture that by taking a video of the planet and then analysing all the frames within it to combine them into a single image frame, and then we'll process that with a few specialist tools before moving into Photoshop for some more standard imaging. With a bit of luck, I'll show you a nice picture of Jupiter on screen now. Okay, so we've just turned the telescope on. We'll just log into it and establish comms with the mount. So we're just going to have one camera, the mount, and the focuser. So there's the camera, focuser, and mount. And we will just unpark the mount so it's in its home position. And we will tell it to go to Jupiter. Okay, so that will kick the mount off, slewing across the sky. We'll just zoom out on this star chart and have a look where it's at. Okay, so you can see the mount moving around. I'm going to disconnect the camera from K-stars. So I'm only really using K-stars for the mount control at the moment. Okay, and there we go. Straight away we have Jupiter on the screen, which is nice. So we will tweak that slightly. It looks like we have the spot on show as well. So this is already well focused because I set it up last night, so I don't need to do anything further. I'm going to draw a region of interest, this ROI box, and that means I won't have to send all the data back. I'm sending a smaller set of data back, and that improves the throughput of data. I'll see if I can drop the gain down a tiny bit. There's quite a bit of atmospheric wobble, you can see. Zoom in a bit so you can see that. So it is bouncing around quite a bit. Okay, we will set up a maximum of 3 minutes of data. Planet will sometimes look really clear and sometimes it will look quite fuzzy. And that's the nature of atmospheric disturbances, thermals, light pollution. There's a bit of all sorts going on out there. And you really notice it when you're at the long focal lengths of planetary imaging. So the focal length of the scope, the native prime focal length, is 1,500 millimeters. There's no Barlow on this, but it's quite a small chip on the camera as well. So we are zoomed in very, very closely on an object that's very far away, and there's a lot that gets in the way. On the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see the recording in play, and we've got 3,500 frames taken already in the minute or so it's been going. And we'll let this run for the full 3 minutes, and then we'll download the file using FTP, File Transfer Protocol, to the Raspberry Pi, and have a play with processing it. So for our Jupiter picture, the first thing we're going to do is use PIP, which stands for Planetary Imaging Preprocessor, with a mouthful. So we'll just grab our video, which is an SER file of Jupiter. And yes, we would like to debayer it. So debayering is where you convert an image using a certain RGB red, green, blue profile to have a color image. Okay, so I've just set that to take the best 7,000 frames out of the 10,340 that we captured. So the top 70% of the pictures. It will convert that SER file to an AVI file, and then we'll run that through another tool. Okay, so that's our output. So the next tool we're going to use is called Autostakkert. So this is the image. We will analyze it, and it's evaluating the quality of all those frames. Now, the first thing we're going to do is reject any like this, where there's been an obvious defect with the image, and we don't want those in the stack. And then everything else should be good from here on out. So we'll just have a scroll through these. Yes, they get progressively worse, but that's fine. So I'll automatically add some alignment points, and that's going to stack the images using those aligned points. I'm going to use the top 5% of the top 5%, and then make a single stacked image out of those 5% of 5% images out of the 7,000 we've dropped it down to. So essentially you're taking lots and lots of images and condensing them down into one hopefully good image. Okay, so that's done now. Our final tool is Registax. Okay, so we'll open the file that we just created, which is this one here, and you can see something that looks a bit like Jupiter. Now on the left here, we're going to use these wavelets to sharpen that image, and it's going to make a dramatic difference. We will look at a zoomed version of this. And what we're looking to do is increase the sharpness, but not have two things. One, lots of pixels, like you can see on the zoomed image. So we'll get those under control using denoise. And we don't want hard black lines in the image. So these rings can turn very dark very quickly. And they probably will end up quite dark towards the end. And we're just looking to gradually pull out as much detail as we can get from these different layers of wavelets. You can very clearly see the big red spot, which is a storm that's been raging for a long time on Jupiter. Okay, so there's a lot of good stuff in that image. We'll save that, and then we'll go to Photoshop. Okay, so this is the image we created. You can see a few artifacts. I think that might be a moon down there that's caused a bit of a wobble. We will lose those just with a clone stamp, much smaller than that. So we're at a 67 pixel brush with 100% opacity and just getting rid of that. These are stacking artifacts, so you can lose those completely. We have a bit of aliasing around the top, so there's a bit of shadowing that shouldn't be there. I am going to use a brush to deal with this. I'll go to the elliptical marquee tool and hold shift and draw out a circle about the size of Jupiter. Okay, that'll do nicely. Then I'll right click and choose select inverse. And then as I paint with my brush, I've no danger of going any closer to the planet than that circle. And it just lets me get rid of those rough edges without fear of damaging what's actually behind it. Okay, let's duplicate that layer, because any changes we make, we want to be able to undo. And we will start with, I think, vibrance and saturation. Let's see where we could go here. So boosting the vibrance a little bit, that's plus 33. Saturation, plus 15%. I am going to rotate the image. So I'm going to go 90 degrees anti-clockwise. So I'll duplicate this layer again. And I'm going to have a play with selective color. Image adjustments, selective color. Just tweak these a little bit. Okay, so before and after, we brought out a bit of the red of Jupiter. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use Topaz to create a sharpened version of this image. So I'll do that now. So I'm going to look at the various models. So standard form looks like a bit of a disaster. Clear, pretty poor. Low light, probably the best. Severe noise is a mess. Raw's a bigger mess. So low light's the best one for us to play with. Let's just take the sliders down to nothing. In terms of noise removal, okay, we'll maybe have a little bit of noise removal. And sharpness, we'll try and increase that. Okay, so we'll grab that image now and merge it back as a layer on top of the other one. Okay, so this is our unsharpened image, and this is our sharpened image. I think I could pretty well pull it across in its entirety, actually. Just looking to see if there's anything in there that I don't want. I don't think there is. I think I might just take that as is. Okay, the surface brightness needs to be bigger than that. I'm just going to look at this center slider and how much I can pull that to the left. I think that'll be okay. Okay, so I'm just going to duplicate that top layer, and I'm going to bump up the bottom of the curve to make it brighter. Okay, that's fine. And I'm going to duplicate that again, and I'll just have another go at vibrance and saturation. Okay, another 23% vibrance. I think I can get 8%, 9% saturation, sorry. I think that's probably as far as I can go with that image. It's not bad for the equipment that I've got in the conditions that we're working in. So that's okay for Jupiter. So I hope you enjoyed that video. It's a bit different processing planetary images versus deep sky objects or other traditional photography. If you like that content, please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you at the next one.